Kiln shelves laid out, and before we fire any pottery on them, we need to use a kiln wash. So we have this Mako kiln wash, and I've been shaking it a bit. Probably safe to be done with that shaking part. We're gonna wipe them off with a damp cloth. We've got our handy dandy little brush, and recovering from a cold. So we'll brush it on, leave 1/2 inch border there with no kiln wash on it, and then we'll be good to go. We have a little sponge here that I used to dampen the top of the shelf, get any dust off, and then we're gonna spread on some kiln wash. Try to be aware of that border. I guess maybe I'll get that one a bit. The directions that we have for the kiln suggest going, like, brushing one direction, and then for a second coat brushing the other direction. So I'm trying to stick with that, even though, like, I really just want to go back and forth. The other ones I did incrementally to put 2 coats on, because it says to do it semi-dry, so I figured it'd be good just to kind of work through and not do all of them once and then go back. Anyway, so we're on the last one. It's nice that you can, it shows up a little bit, so you get a good idea of where it's actually painting on. They need to sit overnight to dry fully before we fire them. And then we'll be able to get everything up and running. We're all done with putting the kiln wash on the shelves. I went ahead and did 3 coats just because we were reading some extra stuff about coating. So thought it would be a good idea. So we're gonna leave these overnight and make sure that they are really dry. We probably won't be able to fire them tomorrow morning anyway, so we'll know they'll be really good and dry. And then we'll go from there.
Getting ready to fire up the kiln for the first time. Here we have got it all linked up to the Wi-Fi, got it hooked up to the phone, and currently I'm downloading new firmware. Then when that's done, we're gonna fire the shelves we have in there, which we put kiln wash on them a long time ago. But they are in there, it's loaded, got some witness cones in, and we're gonna fire everything up and give it a cone 4 bisque firing and test fire, see how everything goes. We have started our kiln for the first time. We have the shelves in there. We are running a cone 04 bisque fire, and we are going to test it. So This bisque fire should take about 7.5 hours to run. And we've got kiln wash on our shelves, so that'll bake the kiln wash in. We got one helper.
And firing!
2 helpers, and Miss Song Sparrow crafts herself. Yes, we're gonna have these videos up on her channel as well.
Song Sparrow crafts!
Here are the results of our cone 04 firing from top shelf to bottom shelf. See here, we're pretty consistent. Angled over and just touching the top of the shelf. And this was the bottom shelf, which is probably because the bottom shelf is a whole shelf sitting right above the vent. It's about 1 inch above the vent. And so I think there's maybe not quite as much heat or airflow at that point. We may go ahead and get half shelves instead of whole shelves so that we get a little bit of air circulation, or better air circulation. But that is our first test fire. And those should be good. They say they should be 90 degrees to touching to be consistent with cone 04, which, you know, looks to be the case. They might be a little over, but that may just be because it's a brand new kiln.
So we have done the bisque fire test, the test fire, and now we're prepping to do the test fire for the glaze fire. We have cones that are not self-supporting, so we're going to make little stands that have 3 different cones in each one, right? We got 3?
Mm-hmm. 4, 5, and 6. 4, 5, and 6.
So we're going to take a little bit of clay and make a coil and get those cones all set up so they stand up nicely. So since we are just starting out and new to all of this stuff, I figured it'd be fun to get a little bit of clay from each bag since they're different colors and just kind of see what it looks like. So we got this clay local to us, which is always fun. And wow. The first time my hands have been in clay for near 28 years. Don't do the math on that. So here we have our setup for making the little groupings of cones for our test glaze fire. These little guys are not self-supporting, and this one is. Like, you can see the larger base at the bottom. These, we got the small ones, which in the future will go for the larger ones just because it seems like it'd be easier to work with. But they pop apart here, if I can do this effectively. No. So this one came out nicely. This one I cracked. But, you know, we're not in any kind of shortage here. So we have 4, 5, and 6, and we'll get little groupings of them so we can place them in different parts of the kiln and see how the heat is at various locations. And so since these guys are so tiny, let's see if I can, maybe I can get both of, oh, yay, okay. So the idea is to make a coil, or and we will eventually have a different setup, but this is just the very beginning. And set it up. I can't remember. Do you remember which direction? But
the cone will fall forward.
So is it better to have it well, maybe it doesn't matter, huh? Because these aren't gonna drip, right?
Right.
So the idea is trying to get it flat. So it likes to have an angle to it. And then pinching that. And then presumably having this in the same direction.
Yeah, and because these are, we're going to fire to cone 5 as a test. And so we've got 4, 5, and 6. And those each have a term that I don't remember now, but it makes logical sense. The 4 should lay all the way over.
Shoot! I need to practice cracking these open.
The 5 should be at 90 degrees or a little bit, you know, between 90 degrees and the bottom, and the 6 really shouldn't lay over. It should just soften a little bit. But yeah, the self-supporting cones are great. We were not able to find self-supporting cones in 5 and 6, so we went ahead and just bought the
little things in life.
The not self-supporting ones, but they do make medium and large sizes in those. We got small, and they're pretty tiny.
They are tiny. But apparently the size, you know, you can still mangle it if you really try.
So we're going to make 4 of these and then let them dry a little bit, and we'll probably load the kiln and fire. It won't have anything in it, but we'll load it and fire it tomorrow morning.
Cute. Oh my goodness. Okay. I'm excited. All right, I'm getting the hang of it. Interestingly enough, this clay is so just a little bit softer to work with.
And Petra has done pottery in an earlier portion of her life, so this is not completely new, but relearning some old skills. And then, of course, we have the next generation that is excited to learn
Super excited.
pottery skills and be part of building and selling pottery.
Okay.
And there are our 4 cone packs. We're about to do a test fire. Well, actually, not really. We're going to do a cone 5 test fire for a glaze firing, but we needed to create our little cone stacks here. So we had some extra clay, and
Look
we
at
figured
that.
we would just try a couple of pinch pot and a couple of medallions that we'll put in our first real bisque fire, just for fun. And this is Petra's Song Sparrow Craft stamp. We didn't have any cornstarch, so she's trying. Are you trying?
Yucca flour. So
Yucca
basically.
flour. So we may be inventing something new, but.
But it works.
That's what Bob Ross talks
and
about.
It'll happy little accident, and it'll burn off.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't just explode in the kiln and blow up the entire kiln and garage and burn down the house.
We create something toxic and weird.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
That won't happen.
We're gonna load up the kiln here. Right now we've got our short 1-inch chairs, or what are those called? Posts on the bottom. This is the vent for the hole for the Envirovent. And so we put our one shelf on the top. I'm going to grab that. A whole shelf down there. Being careful not to jack up the sides of the kiln. We're going to put the next level in. And this is going to be a half shelf. So I'm kind of guessing where these need to go. We're going to do all half shelves this time. And then I'm going to go grab the witness cones. Okay. Put a set there. I don't know if we'll actually be able to see those. And we probably won't even look at them through the peeps. We're just going to look after the fact. We'll put those towards the middle. Half shove. Seems stable enough. Some cones on there. This side, or I keep saying chair. We got our last posts in here, so we've got the full shelf on the bottom, cones down there, and then we got kind of stepped shelves here to get different levels. The challenge is the half shelves are good for air circulation, but then you have to use twice as many posts. But I think that looks about right. So now we'll fire up the kiln. First I have to go flip the breaker and then plug in the Envirovent, and then we'll fire it. Alright. Everything looked good in there, right?
Yeah.
Alright, so we've got our Wi-Fi is working. This is the Envirolink cord, so it controls the Envirovent 2. That just plugs in here, and then we can set the times we want the fan on. So we should be able to say begin here. I've already kind of set up all the advanced settings so it knows to turn the fan on and all that. And then we want to do a cone fire. I don't think we need a preheat, although I suppose we could. I don't know how long we would do that.
Do they recommend one in the instructions for a test?
The only thing I was thinking is that the little chair, or the little cone stacks.
Oh, right, right.
Not.
Can you slide it, maybe?
Oh, that's right. There we go. So we want a cone 5. Speed medium, because we're not actually glazing anything. We don't need a hold time. We don't need a delay. So we could put a preheat on there for... Well, let's not do a preheat. We'll see. If our little cone packs pop, then we'll know not to do that in the future.
I imagine they've had time to dry.
View program. So it's going to ramp up to 180 at 200 degrees per hour. Yeah, no holds. And 250, 1000, 1150, 1917, and 2167. And this all spits out to my phone too, which is kind of cool. It says it will take 8 hours and 14 minutes. So I think we can just hit start. There it goes. It turns on our fan. Then with the phone, check to make sure. Can you see that?
I don't know if it's picking it up.
But it just tells me what the current temperature is. It tells me what the program is, how long it's been firing, and then I can track that from time to time. So that's it. We'll come back out and check the cones in a day, because it takes about 8 hours to fire, and then it's going to take about 8 to 12 hours to cool down.